Okay, it was another nice night for Isaiah Collier and Brice Sensabaugh for the Utah Jazz. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. Okay, guys, let's talk about the Utah. We're going to do a little bit of less of that this season, especially now with Summer League. We may in the future talk about it here and there, but mostly we're going to focus Jazz. By the way, if you're a Jazz fan and you have not subscribed to the channel, come on, hit the subscribe, like the video. I would appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about the Utah Jazz just a little bit. This will not be quite as long, these Summer League games. There's going to be a lot. We're going to talk about what happened, but maybe not quite as intense as during the regular season. But let's see. That's me. I am still okay. This has got to move up. There we go. Well, there we go. All right, let's move me down and let's talk about the Utah Jazz. Oh my gosh, this is going not my favorite. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the guys who played. We did not get to see Keyonte George tonight. We did not get to see Taylor Hendricks and no Walker Kessler. So we're going to talk about what we did see. You could feel a difference in this game without Keyonte George. I know some people had some comments about the 5 for 21 shooting, but I tell you what, Keyonte George looks better to me. He is weaving and driving, and the free throws last game were impressive. And you felt that lack of Keyonte George tonight. Because the Jazz lost by like 30. The end score in this one was 98-75. So that's not quite 30. I can't do math. But anyways, they lost by a lot of points. But we did see some things that were really nice. And part of the reason that this score got way out of hand for Utah is because arguably they're, whether you think Keyonte George has been their best player or Isaiah Collier, there's an argument there for both. Isaiah Collier had an awesome game last game as well. Tonight, fantastic again. Come on, NBA.com. Where's the picture of Isaiah Collier? He's a first-round pick. Get the picture up. My gosh. But anyways, Collier tonight, I know you'll look at these numbers. If you didn't watch the game, you'll think, oh, what did he do? I mean, the Jazz lost by 25 and he was a -4. He was great. The composure and the on-court awareness is fantastic with Collier. I tell you what, man, I know the Lofton experience is pretty fun, but man, when Lofton is on the floor, look at this, 12 shots. He kind of just takes all the shots. And there's not a lot of great ball movement. There was one play where I saw them take him out where he dribbled the ball up the court, which, he can obviously do. He gets up to that three-point line. He just kind of looks around and then just decided, I'm going to just take this shot. He drives into two guys and gets the shot blocked. And he immediately got pulled. And I've been trying to kind of watch him and kind of figure out what's going on. And I just think there's an element of ball hoggery that goes on with Kenneth Lofton. And when you're shooting 4 for 12 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, that's pretty tough. And I know he's a +1 in this game. He played 24 minutes, but man, there's just something about it that just doesn't feel quite cohesive. And maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. There's just something about it that I don't really love right now. And maybe that's because I just want to see the other Jazz players get some run and see what they can do. But I will say that I noticed a little bit of just some of these other players just kind of hoping to get the ball and not getting it. For example, Kyle Filipowski. But back to Isaiah Collier, and I guess I'm starting from here and not from the top. But Collier was great. Whatever the numbers say, I don't even care. And honestly, in Summer League, I mean, if the numbers are great, you're definitely going to promote it. But a lot of what you're seeing with Collier is just he's a baller. He just knows what he's doing. I mean, one of these shots, he just pulled up into a mid-range 2, and it looks so smooth. I mean, his jump shot looks pretty decent, and that was one of the question marks with him. It looks pretty good. I know he missed his 2 3-point shots, but man, there are so many things to like. He's a great passer, great vision. He's definitely one of those guys that sets other players up in a nice way. And so I think the Jazz might have a point guard on their hands that they might be really happy with. And, Keontae George is still trying to develop as well. One of the things about this season, the goal of this season is just let these guys develop. Let them figure things out. And it's going to be really fun watching Isaiah Collier and what he can become. And he's only 19 years old. They got him at pick 29. Absolute steal. He is awesome. Cody Williams, if you didn't watch the game, you'll look at these numbers and you think, oh, that's not that great. Part of the 3 for 10 was that the 3-point shot was not falling, but he was taking those shots, and I think the Jazz were telling him to take those shots. This is great development for him. I tell you what, there was one of these shots where, he made a couple of these like long-range twos, and when he shot the ball, it just looks smooth. He's stepping into that jump shot, he's shooting it with confidence, and it looks good. It just looks good to me. And so this stuff, I'm not that worried at all. The 3-point shot looks solid to me. And this could be a little bit of legs because, it's 2 nights in a row. That's what's crazy is we have 3 games in 3 nights, which is part of the reason why they rested Keontae, and Hendricks. And so who knows? Maybe Cody Williams is feeling that a little bit because you're also playing defense and it's NBA speed. That's part of the whole summer league experience as well. But I won't be surprised if he has a few nights where he's up in 15 to 20 points because he's knocking down threes and hitting shots. That's going to happen at some point with Williams. And also you just bring that length and size. There is so much to like with him. Yeah, he's really skinny. Yeah, he's got some things to figure out, but my goodness, he is going to be a nice asset. And the other thing I noticed with him is he just makes smart basketball plays. He just does the little things. He doesn't take bad shots. Like, the shot wasn't falling tonight, but they were good shots. They're the shots they want him to take. And when they start falling, man, does he get really interesting. He does a lot of things that are really nice. And what's always nice is when you see a player that just looks like they belong and they make smart plays. Baisley, 8 rebounds, 2 absolutely insane blocks. We don't have the footage tonight, but man, if you haven't looked them up, it's crazy. Baisley is an NBA athlete for sure. And I would not mind keeping him on the Jazz for a long time. Even if he's the 14th guy on the bench, he's worth having around because his athleticism is awesome and he can do a lot of different things. And if he can shoot the ball and just be a productive, why couldn't he be kind of like a Terrence Mann type player where he's athletic and big and just does a lot of everything really nicely? And if he can defend at a high level, he becomes really good. We've already talked about Kenny Lofton. I feel like we kind of know what Kenny Lofton is a little bit. That's why some of this where we watch him in Summer League, it's like, is that really, and you got to give props to him for not being too good for Summer League. I guess in a way, like, he hasn't really kind of a Summer League player, although I do think he has a lot of talent. That's one thing about Kenny Lofton Jr. is there's a lot of skill there. There's still a lot of refinement that needs to happen, and at some point he's going to probably figure that out. Even with all the things I've talked badly about Kenny Lofton Jr., you still look 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. He had a nice block protecting the rim. It's just the offense sometimes can be very ISO heavy. And you'd really like to see him just pull up from 3 when he gets the 3 more often, or just swing the ball around a little bit more. I don't mind Kenny Lofton going in an ISO if he sees a mismatch. If you see that you've got a smaller guy on him, then Kenny Lofton needs to take advantage because he can absolutely score in that situation. But there are also times where you're not in the advantage position and you need to move the ball to that guy that has it so they can score, or you run the pick and roll or run a play, break up the offensive flow. So Brice Sensabaugh, people made some comments yesterday about him. Oh, he doesn't look too good. Oh, he's heavy. Oh, maybe not in shape. Well, he certainly looked good tonight. In 15 minutes, he had 18 points in 15 minutes. He was 2 for 3 from 3, perfect from the free throw line, and 6 for 8 from the field. And he looked it looked easy. It looked really easy for him. So he also grabs 1 rebound, but the shooting is there. Can he figure out everything else? The other nice thing is only 1 turnover. Last night, 7 fouls, 7 turnovers. Tonight, he has just 1. So that's nice to see. And you got to give players props for when they improve. If you're going to go online and you're going to badmouth someone, then you better go online the next day, or at least get online when they're playing well, and say it. I think one of my biggest pet peeves, and I probably do this a little bit too, is when people go out and just decide that they don't like a player. It gets on my nerves. If a player deserves it, fine. But the Jazz fans did this with George Niang when he was on the Jazz, and guess what? They traded George Niang, and they were worse the next season. Doesn't mean it was just George Niang, but turns out that when George Niang was on the floor, things actually went pretty well. Last season, we saw a lot of that with Keontae George, and it was weird. It was really strange. One thing I would love for Jazz fans to stop doing is finding scapegoats for the team, when you probably need to just look at the whole big picture and ask yourself, do I need to really be bad-mouthing a backup player that plays 10 to 15 minutes a night? Probably not their fault if the team loses. And like last year with Keontae George, maybe I shouldn't be ragging on a point guard who's learning how to play the position when he's typically a shooting guard in the NBA in his first season, getting a workload that most star players struggle with at times. Can we just be a little more understanding and let them develop? Now, in 3 or 4 years, if Keontae hasn't kind of refined his game and figured things out, then fine. But these are young guys. We've just got to let them develop. And Brice Sensabaugh is probably a little bit leaner. Same thing with me. I talked about, Kenny Lofton and the scones last night, and Brice Sensabaugh too, but he has gotten a little bit leaner. And honestly, has at times shown some moments. And so he was arguably the best player for the Jazz tonight. Needs to improve defensively, but man, offensively, he can absolutely score the ball, especially when it comes to just shooting threes. So nice to see that. We talked about Isaiah Collier. I love the guy. I think he's going to be pretty nice. One thing I did like to see tonight as well, and I don't know why we're playing Kenny, and I'm sure the coaches are just trying to give everyone their fair shot, to make everyone happy. I would like to see Kyle Filipowski start one of these games, and preferably either next to Walker Kessler at the 5 or start Filipowski at the center. He hasn't hit a 3 yet. I want to see him hit a 3 really bad because I think that's going to be an important element of his game. And we know he can do it because he was doing it in college. But when he starts knocking down that 3 and with consistency, it's going to kind of change who he is. But one thing we've seen with Filipowski in these games that's nice, at least from my perspective, is that he's handling it. He's passing the ball, and he's doing kind of a lot of those things that a lot of people were talking about. Very similar to like a Vucevic, Kelly Olynyk, one of those players that kind of handles, not maybe a tiny, how kind of Bam Adebayo does that a little bit, handles and passes and does a lot of that. So maybe he can kind of develop into one of those guys. I don't think he's going to be the defensive player that Bam is. That's why I think of him more as like a Kelly Olynyk. But who knows? I guess we shouldn't say never. Maybe he can become pretty impressive defensively. Tavion Kinsey got a contract with the Jazz. I think it was a 2-way. I can't remember. Wasn't great. Wasn't very impressive. And honestly, the one that also makes me pretty bummed is Jason Preston. Although he did shoot 3 for 4 from 3. So that's nice to see. But the shot was just not falling, including a bunny that he just missed. He's one of those guys I'm just rooting for because I like that he rebounds so well. Even tonight, look at that, 5 rebounds. It's crazy how some of these guards have just such a knack, and he is absolutely one of those guards that rebounds. But for whatever reason, the offensive game, when he gets on those NBA floors, isn't quite there, and I don't know if it's the yips or what, but not as impressive. 3 assists, though. It's crazy how he stuffs that stat sheet. These other guys I don't know a lot about, so we're not going to really delve into it much at all. Anyways, guys, that's probably it tonight. Shorter video tonight. 3 videos, 3 nights, 3 post games. That is. I want to try to get a produced one tomorrow. I'm really enjoying getting those produced ones out. The numbers are really great. I appreciate everyone who's watching those. It's fantastic. We got more Walker Kessler trade rumors. We've got more Lauri Markkanen rumors going on. So I got to get a video out there to make sure everyone is up to speed with what's going on with the Utah Jazz. Let's give a shout out to the All-Stars before we go. Let's give a shout out to Baby Elliott Matson, Ryan Perry the legend, Nathan Butnett Burkhart, Christian House Money to Haas, the Outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from down under. See ya. Lexa Later, Built Ford Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Jordan the Goat Best Roll, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, Patrick Kubo, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, I didn't see any chat stuff tonight, so I'm going to just make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope, looks like we got clean chat tonight. So, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, especially if you're a Jazz fan. I will talk to you tomorrow.